I'm Chris Story, and I'm so happy to be alive on this fine day talking to you. You're about to hear from Rhonda Johnson with a mortgage brief on who's paying for the payroll tax cut extension anyway. It might be you. Stacy Schubert has an announcement from AHFC, and meet your January Featured Realtor, Janice Strong. What words of wisdom did her grandmother give her? What does being a realtor mean to Janice? And who would play her in a movie about her life? You're about to find out right here on Alaska Real Estate.
Where we live, we got clear blue skies where we live.
What's going on, Stacy Schubert with Alaska Housing? What do we need to know?
You know, there are a lot of really exciting things going on at Alaska Housing right now. I think the last time we talked to Chris, we were telling you about some of the operational improvements that our mortgage team is taking on.
Yeah.
And in fact, last week we were in Fairbanks and the MAP 2. Prior to that, learning from both lenders and the real estate community about what it is that we can do to make our products more competitive.
Did you come away with some stuff, some takeaways?
Yeah, and in fact, we've met in Anchorage a couple of times, and our mortgage people have been so busy, it's taken us a few months to get back out into the public. But, you know, somewhat simple things like creating a hotline for lenders and real estate professionals to call us when they have questions about our products. Mm-hmm. We can do that. By February 1st, we're going to have that hotline up and running.
Great. Well, that's terrific. What else is going on?
In addition to that, we are going to be on the radio with spots promoting our first-time homebuyer program. And we really hope to see a lot more Alaskans who are considering purchasing a home participating in our home choice class. It is absolutely an active market and people who are anxious for more information. And, of course, at Alaska Housing, we're a trusted partner in the transaction.
Please welcome your January Featured Realtor, Janice Strong. Realtor of the Year for 2011. Congrats to you. That's pretty exciting.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.
What was the first thing you thought when you heard your name announced?
Couldn't believe it.
Just disbelief. Just thought, not me.
Yes, not me. Well, right. I was honored to be with so many other folks realtors over the course of time that have done so much for the organization. I'm a big believer in the realtor organization, and they do so many positive things just for home ownership. It's so much more than I think sometimes what the general public really realizes. They're the champion of really allowing us to have homes, and not just for realtors, but for the day-to-day homeowner.
I'm anxious to hear about your transition from selling real estate to appraising. But first, take us back to the first days of selling, and when did you become a realtor?
I became a realtor in the early 1990s. I was in Anchorage and was buying foreclosed property from Alaska Housing and some of the entities, and then renovating it and then putting it back onto the marketplace. So I was listing my own property, and I was doing that in conjunction with another group of people and partners. So, but my background is in interior design, and my family were builders. I'm from Chicago, and they started building in the 1890s in the building and real estate business in one way or the other.
That's incredible. You said the 1890s.
1890s. My great-grandparents came from Copenhagen and started in Chicago, and then my grandparents, and then my dad renovated houses, and part of the family business is, you work. So my brother and I know how to lay tile, plumb, rough, all those kind of things because it was a family business. So, I kind of come by real estate naturally because it's just what I know.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood, I think so.
How much of that came back to you when you were, well, first of all, what brought you to Alaska? You said in the early 90s you're doing these repos. What brought you up here from Chicago?
Well, I lived around the country, and I had worked for a big design firm out of New York, and then was representing them up here, and then got into real estate. And
then Alaska got in your blood also.
I love it. Yes, I do. I also raised and field trial and show Labrador retrievers, so it was fun for me and the dogs to get out. What a great place to live in Alaska, just enjoy the outdoors.
Black labs, yellow labs, chocolate?
Yeah, black and yellow, yes, and they're champions, and I had one of my dogs was a champion and a master hunter, and I think he's still one of only 56 Labrador retrievers that are of the champion and the master hunter. So I used to spend a lot of time outside in my boots and jeans with the dog.
So was your first sale then one of your own properties, or did you ever show and list or sell other people's homes as well, or just exclusively your own?
Mainly exclusively my own. I was doing it for a business and investment.
Got it.
So I pretty much stuck with that.
Do you remember your first sale, who you sold your first house to?
No, but that's a really good question. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, that's just kind of just curious. Well, how long did you do that then before you entered the appraisal arena?
Probably 8 years, and then I was still selling. Probably in the late 90s, I went into getting my appraisal license. So I was doing both. I was listing and selling my own property. I'm also a licensed residential builder. So my husband at the time was developing subdivisions out here in the Manitou Valley. I was building, we were selling, and I was going back for my appraisal certification. So it was pretty busy there in the late 90s. And then in the 2000s, when I started my own appraisal company in 2002, and then just focused on doing that and moving into that as far as mainly what I did.
What was the most challenging thing, aside from it sounds like an incredibly hectic schedule, about entering the appraisal field? What was the most challenging part of that process?
Well, as a realtor, I always wanted to know what those appraisers did. So I figured the best way to know that is go back to school and find out. So I did. Challenging, really, in the appraisal field is you really have to understand the economics and the market, because you're reflecting really of the marketplace and what buyers are doing at this particular point in time. So you really need to become a student of economics of the time and where the market is going. And that was really, it's a much more wider, diverse field, that because that's what you're reflecting to the lender. Really, is this what is the market doing, and is this really a reasonable sales price if you're looking at, selling a home, or, and what the market's accepting at this particular time in your particular area.
Having been a realtor first, how has it affected your appraisal business?
I think it makes me a better appraiser. It's one of the reasons I stay really real in touch with. I've been on the state board of directors several times, still am your vice president. I've been on the local board. I've been an RPAC trustee for 6 years. I also was nominated in a position called the Major Investor Council. That's a national position representing the state of Alaska. And last year I was honored by the national president to be put on a national committee. I'm a Region 12, which is Alaska's in the Northwest region, Region 12, RPAC trustee for the United States. And there's only 38 of us now. So I represent the state of Alaska as an RPAC trustee now. Really getting to understand what's happening here and trying to reflect that and bring that message to national, and also bring national's message back here to the state of Alaska.
I'm tired just hearing about your schedule. What you do.
It's fun. I love it, though.
That's incredible. Well, let me ask you this. When you first entered, because this is a big barrier to entry into the appraisal world, is finding someone that will take you on. Was that a challenge, or were you finding that there was open arms and let people saying, yeah, you work for me for a couple of years and then you go out on your own?
No, it is a challenge, and it's a challenge because of, number one, the logistics of the state of Alaska. It takes you a minimum of 3 years, because there's over 200 hours of required classes. You have 2,400 hours at a minimum of working with an already certified appraiser as your mentor. Here in the state of Alaska, there are classes offered, but not on a regular basis, so you spend a lot of time going to the lower 48, coming back up. The education requirements now are, over the course of the years, are even getting harder because they want you to have a college equivalent degree, because you are reflecting back to the lenders, what value and market is. So you have to figure out, like, if you're going to become an appraiser, you have to think of it as like getting a master's degree that you need to be able to support yourself, because you really don't make any money. You work with an association with a licensed and certified, or here in the state of Alaska, certified appraiser for 3 years until you then take your state boards, and then you have to then apply to different lending institutions to get on their approved appraiser list. So it's a process. It takes you 3 or 4 years to do, and during that time, you're pretty much supporting yourself, because in today's world, lenders don't want trainees doing appraisals.
You've touched on what the Realtor Association means to you, and it's obviously a big part of your life. It's an important part of your life in your business. For anyone listening that wants themselves to be more involved in the Realtor Association, where would you recommend they get started?
Well, I guess you need to find out what their interests are. You can, from an education standpoint, services just locally. If you like to do with politics or anything legislative, there are so many avenues that are open with the realtors. There's all you need to do is start with your local board and go to your local EO and just say, I want to help. And for committees, probably there's one that would suit you, whether it's planning an event or raising money or education. There's just a wealth of things to get involved in.
Are you hopeful for this year's RPAC efforts? And I mean that both in fundraising and also the lobbying efforts for the RPAC. Look like a good year ahead?
Yes, I am. What we're trying to bring home to other realtors and just to everybody is everything is grassroots. It's all about what's happening in your own area, and our voice makes the difference. We make a really big difference.
All right, let's get serious, Janice Strong. Let's say they're making a movie about your life. Is it a thriller, a romantic comedy, a tragedy, a disaster movie? What is it?
I think I'm pretty normal. Okay. I've had, every decade there's something exciting that happens, and I'm in my 6th decade now, so life is better than ever, and I'm loving it, here in Alaska. I've met so many wonderful people that have enhanced my life, and through a lot of different organizations. I'm a happy camper.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw in then romantic comedy, because you sound funny. I think you've got a good sense of humor. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Now, in that same line of questioning, who would play you in the movie, and most importantly, what would be the theme song of that movie?
Who would play me? I don't know, Sandra Bullock, just kind of like crazy things happen to you and you just like turn around and try to make the best of them, maybe.
Yeah.
And my theme song is Maggie May.
You just said something that I'll take away from this conversation, and that life is better than ever, or that it's just getting better. That's really awesome. I mean, because if you can say that, you're doing something right.
Years ago, my grandmother, who was my mom's family, who were all in the building business, they were from Denmark. And when she was in her late 90s, she was the last one still around, all her brothers and sisters, and everybody had passed, and she was kind of getting that time. I asked her, I said, do you have any words of wisdom for me, or any regrets? And she thought about that, and she goes, yes. She goes, the only regrets I have are the things I never tried. She goes, do not ever be afraid to try anything. She goes, because if you don't like it, just go do something else. So I was in my 30s at that time, and I took the chance and moved to Alaska and haven't regretted since. And so it's how I try to live my life, of making those decisions like, would I ever regret not trying this? Because, there is really no failure. There's just like, gee, that was great, but not for me, and you move on to something else. So I'm still living off of Granny's wisdom.
Janice Strong, thank you so much. Realtor of the Year 2011, and just all around great supporter and member of our Alaska Association of Realtors.
Thank you so much. I'm just really proud and honored to be part of that very special group.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be back at school. I know I keep you amused, but I feel I'm being used.
Hey, this is Rhonda Johnson with Alaska USA Mortgage Company, calling to let you know about the new extended payroll tax credit that Congress passed recently. Did you know that tax credit is going to actually save you between $35 and $40 a month on an average paycheck? But did you also know that if you're in the market for purchasing or refinancing a home using Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac as part of your financing, that it could cost you on a $200,000 loan up to $11 a month? Now, $11 a month is not the end of the world, and it doesn't sound like that much. But over the life of the loan, it actually will end up costing you over $3,800 in a higher payment for that saved $35 to $40 a month on your paycheck over these next couple of months. If you need more information, feel free to give us a call. And this new tax credit takes effect on April 12th, 2012.
Rhonda can be reached at 714-4391 or online at alaskausamortgage.com.
Hello, Alaska. This is Bea Tassili from Alaska USA Title Agency. I'm a new escrow officer here in Juneau, providing you with great customer service, and we have an awesome team here in Juneau. We have our senior experienced escrow officer, Jenny Kirshner, our escrow assistant, Erica Vihar, and Juneau's very own title officer, Jeffrey Vogel. We're located here in the Valley, right across from the Moose Lodge. If you have any questions regarding escrow or title services, please call Alaska State Title Agency at 907-796-1221 today. We service all lenders, so tell your loan officer that you choose Alaska State Title Agency.
Sandy Ehrenman's our executive producer. For all of us at Alaska Real Estate Podcast, I'm Chris Story, wishing you health, wealth, and prosperity.